Hello, my name is Jason Craning with Scenic, and today we're here to show you how to set up our new patent pending solution for the funeral home industry called the Memorial Environments Scenic Wall. My phone number is 864-313-4477. If you have any tech support problems, please do not hesitate to call. We'll walk you through it and make sure everything is right on track. The pieces that you're going to get in this kit include 8 metal frame pieces, 2 support pieces, which I'll show you in just a minute. It includes the power cords for the transformers and the connector pieces. There are 4 corner connector pieces like that, and then these are the straight pieces, and we'll show you how those work in just a minute. There's also 2 feet that go with it, and inside those feet there's a little metal bar that threads on here, and this is what keeps the wall upright when it's sitting on the floor. If you have a casket that's got a lid open and you want that content to go up higher, we also send a set of risers with it, which I'll show you how these work in just a minute. The foot slides up into the channel of the riser and raises all the content up another foot off the floor so that you can have all the graphics showing. The pieces that are included in this kit have 2 on the left, 2 on the right, 2 on the top, and 2 on the bottom. The right-hand pieces are the 7-foot tall section, and they look kind of like this. The other pieces on the top and the bottom are the ones that have the lights in them. So if they don't have lights in them, they're on the side. If they've got lights in them, it's either the top or the bottom section. Every single one of these is set up with matching numbers. So here are 2 of the aluminum pieces, and you can see on this one, there's a 10 and a 10, and these are the 2 that mate. So the 1 and the 1 go together, 2 and the 2, so on and so forth. This comes with 2 power cords. That one is one that everyone's familiar with. You know where that goes. This side of that power cord goes into one of the transformers, and there are 2 transformers that are linked together with this power cord. So there's 2 white power cords. One goes into the wall and one that links the transformers. You're also going to get a tool that looks like this. And it's basically the same thing as any Allen wrench tool that you can get at any hardware store, including Home Depot and Lowe's. If you misplace this, you can get one of these anywhere and it works. What these are used for is the connectors. When this piece locks into that channel like that, it turns it. And the same thing happens with this guy right here. It'll turn that. So the first thing that you do when you start off with your kit, after you've taken out of the box, is lay out all 8 pieces on the floor in the shape of a big rectangle, and I'm going to show you how these pieces go in to connect the straight pieces and how the corner pieces go in to connect the corners next. When you start off, make a big rectangle. It's 10 feet wide and 7 feet tall. You know that the pieces that have the lights in them, these guys right here, that's the top or that's the bottom. The side pieces look just like this. So come on over here and I'm going to show you how to put these pieces in. When it's set up like this, so that there's the bottom section and the lights are facing down, you want to line up all the numbers. You see the 10, 10, and 10, those made up together. And this piece right here is spring-loaded, so for the straight pieces, you can see I'm pushing in that and it's spring-loaded. You're going to push this inside here and pop that down just a little bit so it clicks in place. And then we're going to mate it to the other 10. Push this down just a little bit and it clicks in place. Then you're going to take your tool, and this has to be tight. You got to do a 1/4 turn on this thing. Watch how I turn this. Like that, and it's locked. And then do the other one like that, and it's locked. These are the corner connector pieces, same thing, spring loaded. You're gonna pop that thing in here, push down just a little bit, pops in place. Now, remember, you want the lights facing down here. And the reason why we do that is because when this pops in place like that, you don't want to try and tighten that from the underside, and the lights can get in the way of tightening this. So just make sure the lights are down and your heads that you're tightening are on the top. So 1/4 turn, everything has to be locked. 1/4 turn, done. A special note about the corner connectors. When you put these in, if they're binding at all, it's because they're too close to this front side. Just push it against the frame up here. push that button out, and it should slide in very smoothly. If it's not sliding in smoothly, it's because it's binding. This guy right here, let's pull that down out of the way gently. You don't ever want to get him clipped in between the frames, so just pull him down out of the way, make sure he's not in there, and then pop that button down like that, and it slides in place. Don't forget, you have to lock these, quarter turn and a quarter turn. Once they're locked, they're rock solid. If they're not locked, the frame's gonna be loose. The center support bar is critical. It goes right in the middle of the frame, and it's connected like this. Same pieces that you used before, they pop right in there. Your numbers may be different than mine, but that's okay. Just make sure your numbers are matching. Click it in place. Don't forget, every one of these, you lock them up. Quarter turn locks it, quarter turn locks it. When you put this into the frame on the base, there's gonna be a little gap down here between the lights. That's where that guy goes. It goes in the same channel that the lights go in. And the way this works is this little guy opens up like this, and you can see him move. See him move? That's a lockdown right there. So you wanna put him in when he's open and slide him in place between the two lights, just like that. And then take your bar and lock it shut. And now he is tight and in place, and this guy can either connect behind him or in front of him, but the lights just gap that section right there. So he goes in the same set of light where the lights are on the bottom, not here and not here, but between these two lights, dead center in the frame. And then the same thing on the top as well, and then your center support is in. Now you're ready to stand the frame up. Make sure before you do that, you've double checked all these joints. Each one of these have to have that turn. Tighten here and here. So you've got the straight ones on the sides, and you've got the corner ones, and then the one in the center. Check each one of those. If they're nice and tight, the frame will be very, very sturdy. If they're not tightened up, it will be wobbly and loose, which will make the fabric loose. So these need to be tightened. Now we're gonna put the feet on. This is what the foot looks like. You can see two holes in there. There's a little lock plate that goes on here. Now the lock plate has got a flat spot on it like that, and kind of a rounded spot like that. I always put the flat spot going out like that, and then we take these little threaded pieces right there and line it up and thread it in place. Make sure you don't cross thread these because it's aluminum. When it's finished and on, you got two of these in here. It'll look like this. And we're gonna create a little space in between those guys so we can get that frame slid up in there. So you're gonna take the foot, and you're gonna have somebody holding up your wall because it needs to have a little stability while you're lifting it. It's very lightweight. You lift it up like this, and just slide that channel in. It goes right down. Needs to be floor level on both these pieces. You don't want it up like this. Floor level on both these pieces. And then you can thumb tighten these screws just like that. And that locks that in place. Now, I always like to take your little Allen wrench. Don't have to over tighten this, but just give that a little snug like that. Not super tight. You don't have to go crazy with it. Just a little bit of snug tight. You'll have to use the Allen wrench to loosen it when you take it off, but that keeps everything nice and stable and tight. Now you're ready to connect to the power. Earlier in the video, I showed you've got two cords that come with this. This guy right here, that's got the plug you're all familiar with, that goes into the wall. And then this one connects the two transformers together. So let's see how this works. If you pan down with me. I'm gonna take the wall plug and fish the small end through the hole down here. And we're gonna put power into the transformer. There's a female and a male end here. And there's a little arrow on here. There's an arrow there. And there's an arrow right there. You want those arrows to mate up to each other just like that. Boink. And then we come up to the next one, and here's a cord that's gonna run power from one transformer to the next transformer. And it's the same thing. You've got a male end and a female end, and you wanna find the little arrow right there and right there and mate those together just like that. And if they're a little stiff, just make sure the arrows are lined up and they'll go right into each other. And then we're gonna connect these guys right here. So the arrows go together like that, and Make sure that if they're off center and they don't go in, that's why they're not going in. You got to get the arrows to point right at each other and then push them together. Now, if for some reason you are a little tight, if this is real tight like that and you need some more space, there's a pin here on these transformers, just like there are on the lights up here. You see that little pin? If you loosen this, it's a little piece that looks like that, and it just goes right in the channel, and you can lower this transformer and move it down if you needed to, just like this. It'll slide up and down, and when you get it where you want it, just put it where you want it to be and tighten those little pins down again, and it'll stay right in place. So if you need more or less core, you can adjust that. Now, once we've got these all connected, then we're going to connect the power supply to the lights. So this is also a male and a female port. They go right into each other, and there's a little clicker right there that goes through, and you push it in, and it clicks, and that one's set to go. Now follow me down. We're going to go to the bottom. Now we're going to push the power to the bottom set of lights, and it's the same click right there. Line those two up, push it together. Make sure this pin's going inside that little hole right there, not on the top, but inside. Click it, and that's finished. Those are all your connections. You're finished with the lighting setup. You already connected the other two on the bottom where the center bar is. You already joined those earlier in the video. So you're done. Then all you have to do is take the power cord and plug it in, and voila, you've got light all the way across the top and the bottom. Now, quick troubleshooting on the lights. If you light this thing up and you haven't got any power on the top, but you got power on the bottom, it's probably because this guy right here is not connected properly. See how the lights on the top just went out? And look at the lights on the bottom. They're still lit up. We got to get power up there, so you just maybe unseat this thing, pull it apart, and look at those arrows again, make sure they're lined up, and push them together. And when you push them together, boom, look at that. The top came on. The other thing that could happen is you could be rolling down this way, and if a connection on one of these lights is off, what will happen is you'll get lights up to this far, and then there's no lights down here. Well, it's because this connector right here needs to be clicked together. So that's how the power works if you're checking to make sure all your lights are in. Now it's time to put on the rear liner. This is the fabric that doesn't have a graphic on it. It's white. Here's a little Easter egg in the bottom right corner of the fabrics that are both graphics and the liner. There's a little tab sewn in. That's how you pull it out when you're done using it. That's the lower right. That means that if you know where the lower right is, you can find the upper right. I always start in the upper right. There's silicone sewn into the edge of this right here. When you put this in, you do not want to see that silicone. I always set it in this, if you put it in like this, and you can see that silicone right there, that is the wrong way to do it. It'll be real loose and it'll fall out. You need to take this right here and spin it a quarter turn so that it's going in like that right there. So we're gonna set it in the channel like that, and then I'm gonna do the same thing, not like this, like that. And they're gonna push down, goes in like a Ziploc bag. Now watch what I do as I go across the front here. And one thing I want to bear in mind as we're doing this, you see which side of the frame I'm putting this liner on? It's the side that's closest to the lights. The graphic goes on the other side, furthest away from the lights. If you have the graphic on the wrong side, it's going to have hot spots on the graphic. So always put the liner on the side closest to the lights. So I'm just going to be pushing with my right hand, holding with my left. Pushing with my right and holding with my left, all the way across. Now, when you get down here at the end, if you find that, oh my gosh, look at that, I'm an inch off. Well, this stuff is stretchy. So you can take this and grab it and pull it that direction. And then set this corner, and it's in nice and tight. And then when you go down, you can just squeeze it like this, all the way down to the bottom corner. And I'm gonna stop there and go back to the other side. And we'll set this corner too. Just push that in all the way down. Don't forget, don't want it in like that. If it's in like that, it's not gonna stay in. You want it in like that. And when you get down to the corner, Here's our little Easter egg right here. Same thing. You're gonna say, oh, I don't have enough fabric to get down. You want this whole thing closed. It stretches, so pull down on it a little bit. It's not gonna hurt it. And then get that bottom seated and the corner seated just like that. And then you can go across and you can put it in with your fingers. And as the graphics loosen up a little bit, as they get used, you can take a thumb and almost go like this. When they're brand new, they're gonna be a little tighter, so you'll have to do it like that. Now, when we get down to the corner down here, I'm gonna show you another little trick to make sure that corner is set the way it needs to be. So if you get down here and you're looking at this and you're saying, hey, I can't get it down there, look at all that space there. Well, that's not a problem. You just take this and stretch it down and seat the bottom and then seat the side like that, and you're in. Now, sometimes this, if you're pushing fabric this way, this can get bunched up and you can get some extra stuff right here. That's not a problem either. Leave this corner set right here, pull a little fabric out, and once you've pulled it out from like here to here, set the bottom section in the middle, pull down, set in the middle, and just kind of push the wrinkle out to one side and push the wrinkle out to the other side. And when you're finished, it'll be like that. Now, if the liner is a little looser for you, that's okay. No one's gonna see that because it's on the back side. The fabric on the front is always gonna sound like this when it's done. So now we'll go do the front. Now it's time to put in the graphic. It's the same thing that we just did for the liner. You're gonna find your little tab in the bottom right-hand corner, and that will allow you to find your upper right-hand corner. And we're gonna set this the same way. Remember, when we put this in, you don't wanna see the stitching, you don't wanna see the silicone, you don't wanna see, that's wrong. You wanna flip this around at quarter turn so you can't see any of that, and then set your corner. And then same thing, just push down all the way down to there. Now, watch what I'm doing. I'm holding this and lifting and pushing. Holding it, lifting and pushing. All the way across. I will tell you there's an alternate way to put on graphics if you have a problem doing it this way. And I'll show you what that is in a minute. So when you get down here to the end, if it's short, tug it and set that corner. And then just squeeze it like that, as far down as you can go. Right about there, stop at the corner. Now I'm gonna come back over here and finish this corner. See, I'm just pushing that in place. Now remember, you're gonna be short on fabric. And you look at this and you're gonna say, hey, it's not fitting. It is fitting, you just gotta pull it down. That's what creates the tension and the tightness on here. So it's like a drum. So pull it down and set your corner. It'll take you 1 or 2 times to get this, and once you get the hang of it, it'll go right in. Now this section right here, as the graphic loosens up, you'll be able to do this easier. I can take one thumb and just go like this, all the way across. When you first start and these are brand new, you'll probably have to push it in with your thumb because they're a little tighter, and then they loosen up. So when you get down to this corner, it's the same thing we did on the other side. You're gonna come down here and say, hey, it doesn't fit, what's going on here? Well, just take this and pull it down a little bit. The fabric will stretch. Just pull it down in place and then finish your corner. And you're done. Now, if you ever have wrinkles like this, these kind of wrinkles here, you can actually push them out like this and push it out. If you have a situation like I showed you on the other side where the silicone's bunching up, then just pull the graphic out. Leave the corners set, pull the graphic out about 2 or 3 feet, and then reset it again, starting in the middle and working your way out. And when you're finished, it should be nice and tight, just like that. Now I'm going to show you how to put on the risers. If that casket lid is open and you want this whole wall to come off the floor another foot, this is how you do it. Remember, your feet originally were on, nice and stable and level to the floor. We're going to release the tension on that set screw with the Allen wrench. And then I'm gonna take, not all the tension off, but some of it. This is a good time for somebody holding the other side of the wall so that it will stay up with the foot over there, but it's nice to have another person there. And then just lift up and it slides out just like that. Do you remember this piece right here? This guy slides right into the side of the riser. Now let me show you what happens with this riser. There's two holes right here. You want those on the back side of the frame where the white part is. You don't want to see these from the front side. You could put it in like that, but it's better to not see them. And here's what happens with this. This little tool right here goes through the hole, and this channel lock, that's closed. When you turn it like that, it opens. Did you see that lock open like that? It goes like that, right on the frame. And there's two of them, left and right. Now, we're gonna put the leg on first. So this little channel right here is gonna slide up inside the riser just like it did on the frame. Now here's a critical part of this. You want these two to be level on the floor. Don't have this higher, have it on the same plane. This and this should both be sitting, resting on the floor. So then you can tighten these guys up, give it a little snug turn. Doesn't have to be too much, don't strip it. And then we're gonna just lift up the frame. It's so lightweight, you can have another person helping you up there, but we're gonna lift it up like this. And see how this goes right in the channel? You can put it here, or you can put it in here, or wherever you want. I'm gonna put it right there, whatever you feel looks best. And then I'm gonna go through and find that little set screw, and I'm gonna turn it a quarter turn. You'll know when it's done because it'll be tight. And then go to the other side. They both have to be done and locked tight. And lock that tight. When that thing's on there, watch this. That's not going anywhere, and you've got two things happening. Again, lift your end of the frame up so we can see what this looks like on the floor. I'll put the other leg on the other side. Keep coming up, come up, come up, come up, come up, come up, and there you go. That's what that's gonna look like when it's level. That is gonna be flat, and this is gonna be flat on the ground. Now we're gonna put on the other leg. Again, release the tension on these guys. When you pull this out, since the other leg is on, and it's good to have somebody helping you with this, you're gonna have to pull it up high enough so that it comes out. You can rest that right on the floor. And then remember our little set plate in here. We want the holes towards the back. We're gonna just slide this right in that channel, just like that. Level, level, everything's on the floor. Tighten that guy up. Give it a little quarter turn with your set screw there. Doesn't have to over tighten, just give it enough there. Now we're gonna holes are to the back. We're gonna lift this guy up, and you wanna put him in about the same place as you did the other leg. The other leg was right about here, so I'm gonna put it here to match. You can put it here, here. Don't get him too close in the center. And then lift it up, and all you do is set it. I'm gonna put it about there. Set it in there, and don't forget at this point to tighten these things. It needs to be locked in place, otherwise the wall won't stay on the riser. Just find that little set screw in there. And if you can't find it for some reason, you can get down and peer through the hole, but find it and lock it in place. And that's gonna open that thing up there. And you know it's on when you lift this up, and it's not going anywhere. And that's it, you're on the riser. A couple of closing notes. If your wall is ever listing a little bit forward or a little bit back, check down here. When it's on the riser in particular, make sure these guys are super, super tight and it's lined up perfectly. If these are not tight or it's loose or not lined up, that's not sitting properly. More than likely though, you may have tightened the foot. This is exaggerated, but you might have tightened the foot so it's not on the floor. So let's say you tighten the foot and it was right here, and you tighten these set screws and you've got a little space in here like that. Well, all the weight's here that's not being distributed across the foot. You've got to let that foot drop down to the floor and then tighten it up. That way it'll be nice and stable all the way across. Come around here and let me show you one other thing. If you ever have some wrinkles in the fabric, you don't want to bunch these up and put them in a box. They need to be hung up on a hanger in the closet. That way they won't wrinkle. But if you do have a wrinkle, take your steamer, see if we can find a wrinkle. And just go across that space. Don't touch the fabric, but just go across the space real lightly, and that will steam out. If the fabric gets wet, that's okay. It'll dry in about 20 minutes, and the wet spot will go away, as long as you're not using dirty water. Please use purified water or drinking water, distilled water. If you have dirty tap water, if there's minerals in it and it's brown, you don't want to put that on the fabric. It'll stain it. The final couple things are graphic removal. It's best to put the graphic in when it's not on the risers, but you certainly can do it when it's on the risers. We have lots of people who do that. Taking the graphic out, you find your little magic Easter egg tab down here and gently pull it out and release the tension on the fabric. And while it's on the wall, it'll just slide right out. I always take the 10-foot section of the graphic, the long section of graphic when I'm folding it. Take the corners when I'm doing it by myself, just like a bed sheet. Fold it once, fold it again, and when it's in quarters like that, put a wooden hanger, something with stability, not a cheap dry cleaning wire hanger, something with stability, and hang it in the closet just like that, and it should stay perfectly. Earlier I talked about an alternative method for putting the graphic in. The second way to do it is to set the corners. And what that means is you set this corner and then leave this off, and then set this corner and leave this off, and set this corner and leave this off, and set this corner and leave this off. Then it's called halving everything. So you put a section in the half section here, you put a half section here, half section here, half section here, and then half section those all the way across, and eventually the whole thing goes in. It takes a little bit longer, but if you're having trouble, you're not quite there getting all the silicone away or wrinkles away, that also works. One last thing I'll show you. Typically it's easier to put this in when it's on the floor, you're at least 5 foot 9 inches tall, and it's not on the risers. You can put it in standing, but you can't put it when it's on the risers as well. I'm not going to put the whole thing in, I'll just show you about how this works. So stand up on a step ladder, and if you have somebody helping you, you can have them kind of hold the fabric off to the side. And just set it like you did before. Put it in like this, and then when you're going across, you should probably, I don't have anybody with me except my cameraman, he's not going to do this right now, but you just have them hold this so the weight isn't pulling it out like that, and then you move your bench over and you move your way across. Once you get the top section set, the rest you don't have to do on the ladder, it'll all come down it'll all go in from there. So that's it. If you have any questions, again, feel free to call me, 864-313-4477. Thank you.